Hello, divine, beautiful souls. This is Energy Speaks podcast with your host, Katriel. This season, we're really embarking on the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series. And this week, though we're in Pisces season and it is St. Patrick's Day, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. We're actually at Virgo week with our podcasts. And it's kind of cool to talk about Pisces and Virgo in tandem as they are 180 degrees from each other, oppositions or divine complements, if you will. We have a very, very special being in my life, our practitioner online for Virgo, and her name is Ella Yve. She is a radical oneness practitioner, an intuitive astrologer, a teacher, a speaker, a writer, and content whose mission is to bring radical oneness to the consciousness of humanity using the tool of astrology. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just so grateful.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for putting this Zodiac Empowerment Series together. I know that this was a divine channeled experience from you for the collective, for all of us that are really learning to navigate the energy of self, and then using the tool of astrology. And I love how you do it in such a unique way, pulling all these different aspects of self together and giving us voice for expression is just beautiful. So I'm so grateful to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just so excited for the series. And now knowing that, like you said, it's been a channeled experience. And though I launched it originally in 2019, I knew that was just like, kind of like showing me, oh wait, this is what's to come, essentially. And now knowing that we're going to be doing this for the second half of the year, and I don't know anymore beyond that, I'm like, whoa, this is epic.
Well, that really speaks to the energy right now, is that you say that you don't know what's coming. That's actually a perfect expression of the energy, because right now we're in a new part of the galaxy cosmically that we don't know. We're creating real time in the present moment. So everything that's unfolding is unfolding in the now. And so I love that you said you don't know, because that's such a humbling way to just be in receivership of, okay, I don't know, so I'm going to empty my cup every day what I think I do know, so that I can receive the energy in a new way. And I love that you also pointed to, I love how you said divine complements with the opposing energies of Virgo and Pisces, because and you actually brought this to my attention, Katriel, that when the sun is in a sign, the earth is always going to be in its opposite sign.
Yeah.
And that was really profound for me, in the fact that, oppositions, if all is self, then the opposing energies, even in the hermetic principles of polarity, it's just a degree version of what's the energy in just opposition. So there's just varying degrees. I think of like water, right? So it's all water, but then you have scalding hot water on one side, and then you have freezing cold water on the other side, but it's all water. And so those are varying degrees of temperature. And that's how I see the energy cosmology wise. If you can see the wheel behind me, is that it's a 360 degrees circumference of energy housed in this beautiful symmetry circle, 369, right? 360. But the energy is playing itself out in different expressions. And that expression is done mathematically through calculations and degree points. That's what we talk about in astrology. So I really love that you're bringing that awareness, first of all, to me, that you brought that, because it shifts how I see the energy, that it's all working for me, even if I'm perceiving opposition energy, right? So the North Pole is always going to have a different temperature than the South Pole, right? I think of like us in Sydney, Australia, right? There's actually even different, like if we're experiencing summer, they're experiencing winter, right? So, but it's opposition, but it's still similar, right? It's just
Right.
what they're experiencing is different than what we may be experiencing. So Yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that I thank you for that awareness, because you actually brought that into my field.
It's funny, because I remember many moons ago when we were sitting at Alasa's like little bar, like where we would study astrology. And it's so funny. This I always wanted to ask like these complicated questions. And you're like, but no, like ABC first. And I'm like, and I need that in my life because I tend to just like go to the deepest thing. And I remember you pointing something out to me. And I don't know if you were aware of this, but I had no idea that there was an earth sign. No idea. But on our chart, um, that's where I literally it was like kind of like one of those highlighter moments that I was asking now complex questions in regards to that earth sign. And we were still pairing our energy, you know what I mean? Like still learning to speak each other's language. And I just knew at that moment in time when you taught me that, even though I got a snidbit, that there was something more that needed to be discovered. And like I don't know, it just and then because it's like we are in this 360, atmosphere. And so like to bring in like of course the opposition has a I don't know, I almost feel like it's considered connected to like the three-dimensional reality. And, like these opponents, opposing forces. But that's how we've like, I don't know, at least that's how I've interpreted it. I can't speak for anyone else. But recently, I cannot remember where I was at. Um, oh, you know what? It was the Tony Robbins event online. He they were talking about opponents and how in the Greek that actually was to build each other up, you know? And like we're only seeing one aspect, like lately when we talk about opponents and things like that, and even kids in school, like, oh, everybody should get a trophy. I know this is like a tangent, I'm sorry. But it's actually, those words were there to actually build each other up so that we can be the best versions of ourselves. And I feel like, even though there's that opponent energy, there's also that complementing energy where it's almost a little bit more softer, rather than like this divine masculine energy speak. It's more of like a divine feminine Venus kind of speak. I don't know why. This is just coming to me right now.
Well, it's interesting that you're bringing that up, because the visual I was getting is like, if you've ever been to a gym or worked out at a stairmaster, you need your legs to go in opposite directions to create movement. So,
Mm.
in duality, in order for us to see, and this was coming in right now, contrast to see ourselves, because we're all light, we're light beings. And if we're just all light and there's no darkness and there's no contrast, you can't see yourself or you can't see the other. So the
Mm.
opposition really, for me, in my deep gnosis and study through opposing forces, it's opposing forces create movement, and movement creates time. And
Ooh.
there's deep layers to that. If you were to contemplate even, and I love contemplating symbols, symbology, the hieroglyphics or the glyphs of the astrology chart, because it shows you how we need these components, even if the mind doesn't understand it or understand it. Everything is for us. And so even if we're judging it as a negative experience, because a lot of us sometimes will say, oh, well, I have an opposing fornet, an opposition or opponent that I'm battling, right? Whether it's in the workplace, wherever this is showing up for you in your chart, at home, there's opposing energies. My mom and I don't get along. We see things opposite. So I always like to go back as in asking the question, well, what's right about this, right?
Mm.
Because what happens is with the opposing energy, there's actually movement and exchange that's all moving us more towards an evolved state of consciousness if we allow ourselves to choose to see that. And if we can teach ourselves, again, asking the question, what's right about this? Because I have come to learn in my travels, in my journeys, that I do live in a very benevolent universe, that it's everything is for us, even the opposition energy. I think of too, a lot of sports people talk about this, when if you don't have an opponent, there's nothing that's going to get you stronger, right? When you step in the arena and you're sparring with these opponent energies, what it's doing is it's making you stronger. It's putting you more in your body. It's making you more virile and astute. And at the end, there's actually honorable opposition, because a lot of warriors, samurais, they would actually bow to one another and thank the opponent for showing up into the arena, because you both got stronger because of the experience. So however the conversation is leading today, maybe anybody that's watching this in the now might be reflecting on their opposition energy within their lives. If they have opposing forces, and even on the world stage, we're seeing opposing forces within, warfare, and opposing countries fighting. And I'm going to kind of go off too, but I'm going to bring it back full circle 360 to this moment. I highly recommend everybody watching the new movie Dune, the second part of it. The Dune series is incredible, but it really points to opposing forces, but yet it's all the one. And I don't want to do any kind of spoiler alerts, but I'm going to tell you, it is
Please don't.
profound movie. It speaks to what's going on right now in the Middle East. It's speaking to what's going on with Ukraine and Soviet Union, speaking to warfare in general. But it also puts this amazing twist on why we war, and really, do we need to continue warring, knowing now that we are all the one, that we all come from the same bloodline, even if you think it's, and there's so many stories around RH negative bloodline and Orion war, but at the end of the day, when you realize all is self and you really truly embody that, which that's what Livzenastrology does, it anchors into that maxim that all is self. From that fulcrum point, which is in the heart center, which is also earth spelled in a different way, right? Heart, earth. We have one earth, one heart, and we all originate from the space. No matter what we think opposing forces or what stories or bloodlines we're identifying with, it's all comes from the same source, which is love. And if that's what I feel, this series, what you've created and what lives in astrology, that's why we're able to connect and to partner in this way, because we do both come from that space, that we are one energy, we are unified, no matter what religion, no matter what belief system, no matter what bloodline, no matter what part of the world you're from, we are all connected through the heart, the earth. And that's really what Virgo speaks to. And I'm really excited about this class coming up, because everything that you imbibe with from the earth is going to bring that awareness. And especially when you do it with intention. So I just wanted to bring that and share that awareness.
Thank you. There's a couple things that's coming up for me in this now moment, and maybe I'll just speak them out and we can see what direction we're going in. One, I would love for our audience to get to know you a little bit more, and I feel like that's probably the route we'll go first. But also I would love to dive into a little bit of Pisces to come out on the other side into Virgo. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Just because we are in this Piscean energy, and just showing that movement into, from the etherical waters to the groundingness of the Virgo.
Sure.
So
okay, so a little bit of my story. Well, it's funny. Okay, so what's point wants to come from? I've always been even as a young child, asking the bigger questions: what happens when we die? I was introduced, I was born into Catholicism and actually baptized in 3 other religions after. So I was baptized 4 different times in 4 different religions. And I feel that has a lot to do with just my karma, my dharma, having Scorpio, a lot of Scorpio in my chart, sun, moon, Mercury, 12th house. The 12th house is a Pisces house. So anybody that's studying astrology or wants to know the language. So my moon, which is my emotional nature, and Mercury mind is Scorpio in the 12th house, which is a Pisces house. So I deal a lot with collective energies. And it's always been a journey for me at a very young age, learning to delineate, what am I feeling and what is the other feeling? Because I was very empathic. And again, asking those bigger questions. Now, fast forward into one of my first dark nights of the soul, and I believe, and I can only speak to it because I've experienced it. Some of us have many dark nights of the soul, and I feel like I've been reincarnated several times in this lifetime, having even changed my name several times, gone through many metamorphoses, changing how I look, my profession. And so this last journey, which really has anchored me into this oneness practice, really began in 2018 when my son, Robbie, or Rob, he goes by, graduated high school. And I had been bartending for 25 years, working with the public, which is also part of my dharma. I love working with big groups, organizations, meeting many different personality types. And again, I can find that in the chart. I have my Pluto in Libra, 10th house. So all about relationships, all about power dynamics, all about stepping into my own power, coming to learn Aries, because that's my Chiron, that's my wounded healer, but that's also the North Node for everybody that wants to know what that is. We're all here to learn to embody more Aries, right? Which I call is the way of the peaceful warrior. But another dark night of the soul happened when Robbie graduated, and I had really put so much time and effort and focus on my son and being the best mom that I could be, just really being a better human for him, that when he lifted off and went on to the next chapter of his life, I was just had this big void, right? And nature doesn't like a vacuum. So I knew that I was into astrology. I knew that I had been wanting to do more holistic practices. 2015, I had a health crisis where I had an opportunity to say, well, do I want to still be here or not? I had this big tumor that I had to get removed. And so that was also a pivotal moment. And for those that are going through a dark night of the soul, a lot of it is tied to health crisis. So, we're not going to change unless we're forced to. Let's just be real. None of us really like to embody change. Some of us do. I don't want to say all of us, but for the majority, if we're in the status quo, if we're comfortable, then there's really no need to change, right? But we have these things that show up for us. Again, that's why I say what's right about this. And for me, it was a health crisis back in 2015, and then my son leaving in 2018. So these were many crises, many death. I would say death, meaning things ended for me, chapters of my life ended. I knew I could no longer work in the hospitality industry because I knew that I wanted to shift my dynamics with my body. And being a bartender, having a lot of access to alcohol pretty easily, that was something that I had used as a tool, as a way to sort of escape. That was also Pisces, because I didn't know how to be in my body. I didn't know how to handle my emotions. I didn't know how to handle all the psychic imprints that I was receiving. So I just wanted to escape it. I think of like a child that puts its head over, the covers over its head. And it's like, no, I don't want to sing anymore. And so I was working with different, alcohol medicines and different things. And I just knew after that health crisis in 2015 that I had to end that something needed to shift. And I was given a choice point. I actually heard my higher self said, hey, if you don't want to be here anymore, you can leave. And it was funny that survival instinct kicked in. I said, no, I want to be here. I'm not ready to go yet. Even as many times as I had suffered mentally and said, I don't want to be here anymore. Just take me now. When an opportunity came to say, okay, well, you can leave. It's so funny how something kicked in and said, no, actually, I want to stay. So I knew that I was still purposeful. I didn't know what that purpose was, but I knew there was something intuitively in me, that survival instinct that said, no, you still have things to do. Because I also came from the belief system too, that I'm here to clean up my karma. I'm here to end karmic cycles within myself. And I feel that's also very Scorpio, especially with the composite of the 12th house.
Mm.
I'm here to clean up all my karmic relationships, right? So, and that's a whole nother story I can go into, just the things that I've done to go back to the ancestors. Yeah, there's a lot there with that. But so I knew that mission wasn't done. And so that's also between, cleaning up my karma, knowing that there's a bigger purpose, even though not knowing what the purpose was, that still propelled me. And also too, I've got Aquarius third house. So I've always been a bit of a rebel in my thinking. And I always knew that something was off on this planet, the way we did things with the taxation system. I think that's also why I bartended for as long as I did, because I didn't pay taxes the way most people pay taxes. Like, I'm not doing that. And so, a lot of my decisions been based sort of on this rebellious nature of that. I knew I came here to change something, not to be a part of it. They say be in this world, not of this world. And I really felt that to be true for me. And so I've always had these, that's why I can talk about conflict and opposing energies, because I've always had these sort of opposing energies within me that, no, I'm not going to do that. Why do we need money in that way? Why are we equating money with power with, why, it just didn't make sense to me. So in 2018, I kind of lifted off this particular matrix system. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to exchange money the way we've been doing it. I don't want these power dynamics the way they've been playing themselves out. It's not sustainable for myself or from what I can see, because I would love to have grandkids one day. So I'm thinking about too, okay, what kind of legacy do I want to leave for my grandchildren? What kind of legacy do I want to leave when I transition? Because that's one thing that we all have in common. There's actually two things we all have in common. We're born and we're going to die. As of now, that's the story we've been playing in. So, and everything that happens in between those 2 points, again, those oppositions, right? Here's birth and here's death. Anything that happens in between that ley line is a story we tell about it. And that story is going to be based either on the default system. And this is where astrology comes in, because it can kind of show you what story's been playing out karmically, or what, because also in order to reincarnate, you have to disincarnate, and then you reincarnate. And that's what also astrology speaks to, is like, look, you're part of a bigger story here. So I knew at that point I wanted to change my story, and I knew that change was inevitable. And again, I had gone through also some spiritual journeys that were plant-based. I had taken 5-MeO DMT twice to kind of break that barrier of the next chapter of like, okay, what's my purpose? I know it's tied into something I can't see. I can feel it, but I can't see it. And so I really was exploring psychedelics after listening to a Joe Rogan podcast and him talk about his journey with DMT, and Terrence McKenna, and, the psychonauts who were exploring working with plant medicines and psychedelic mushrooms. And so this I knew was also part of my journey as a psychonaut myself, and wanting to explore consciousness. Again, this is also very Pisces 12th house, right? Because Mercury, my mind, how I think, wanted to imbibe with the Neptunian realm of psychedelics, because it would take you out of this mind. And then also in Scorpio, it's the transformer, right? So I was here to alchemize thoughts through the use of certain plant medicines. So that's also been part of my journey as well. So now fast forwarding here to 2024, I can say that the last 3 years of my life has been, I've stayed at different friends' homes. I've been traveling. I've been nomadic. I back again, 2018, when my son left, I sold all my stuff. So I shut down our apartment. I lived in an RV for a while with no running water, and that was fun. I would take showers at a local YMCA, and it's so interesting, because the mind again thinks you need these comforts, thinks, a lot of us are scared to release these things because we're like, oh my gosh, what's that going to happen? I'm going to be homeless. I'm not going to have these things that I'm so used to. And that's been the journey for me too. It's because that was my worst fear. And that's also what some of us might be encountering, is our dark night of the soul is facing our worst fears. And that's also very Pisces, right? Because in the imagination, which is very Pisces, we can imagine our highest, most vibrant, beautiful imaging and experiences, or we can image, our worst fears. And this is what I feel a lot of us as humanity has been called to do, is especially if we're learning Aries, which is the North Node, facing those fears of childhood, facing those unknown fears that we may have incarnated with, not even from this lifetime, which also is very Pisces, from past lives, right? 12th house, which you come into with, which is embedded in your DNA, which is in your ancestral programs that have been paid forward to you. So this is what a lot of what I came to transform, Scorpio, right? To transform and to alchemize all this and to realize that's all an illusion. Again, Pisces, we're coming out of the age of Pisces, which is very about the illusion, about dissolving untruths, because Pisces can also, we have, if you're still working with the language of good or bad, right or wrong, positive, negative, that can be one of the shadow aspects of Pisces is deceit, right? So where we've been deceiving ourselves through escapism, through where we've been deceived by the collective energies, the story we've been told may not always been accurate. So, intuitively, again, this is also Pisces, there's something off, but when you can't see what it is, then this is where the exploration happens. This is where, if you're called to use certain plant medicines, and I would even say essential oils are plant medicines, because in 2015, I started working with essential oils for my healing journey when I had that surgery. So frankincense has been a major player in me regridding how I think, because it breaks the blood-brain barrier. Lavender to calm my nervous system when I didn't feel safe. Wild orange, because it's invigorating and it lifts you up when you're in depression, right? It brings that sense of oneness and joy, as well as lime oil too. So it's not just plant medicine in the psychedelic journey, which I would say certain herbs and plant medicines can make you feel psychedelic, kind of like when you're using Blue Lotus. That's a whole but so I know this is a long story, coming back to fast forwarding now what this has done is it's really helped me anchor in that connection point to the divine, that all is self, and that there's nothing outside of me that I did not create or am a part of. And so when you take that radical oneness perspective, then you take ownership in all of it, including the conflict, including the things you're seeing outside of yourself that may be hard to witness. I always anchor it back into myself. So, okay, what can I do within myself right now to change that projection, to change that story, to change that perhaps where I've been deceiving myself? And, because we're in a whole new field of energy. So maybe what hung true in the Kali Yuga phase of the epoch of where we were is now we're moving into more of a golden age, right? So we're using different metals even. We're using different substances, and we're being able to see and regrid and regeometry our reality based on where we are right now. So I'm grateful to have gone explored the past and the story that got me up here, but I don't hold on to any of it because it's just a story. So to me, it's what's more relevant is what's happening right now, real time, in every now moment, knowing that it's all for you, knowing that all is self, knowing that you're a projection, that we're in this holographic field of energy. We're in dimensional spaces. If you think of the easiest way to think of dimensions is like you go to your house and you see the dimensions when you have to measure dimensions, right? So how we house the energy, our house system, is how we house the energies within us, as within, so without, as above, so below. Again, these are principles of Hermeticism. And I like to interweave different principles from different religions, from different philosophies, from different belief systems. Why? Because if all is self, then there's truth in everything. So but even in the word believe, you're going to either be the lie or be the live. And that's just either you're living in shadow or you're living in the light aspect of it. You're living in the disharmony or the harmony. You're living in the agreeable aspects or the disagreeable, if we're still navigating polarity. So to sum this up, what it has allowed for me is a deep exploration of consciousness with the trust that I don't have to know what's going to happen tomorrow. I just have to know what I'm doing today. I have to manage how I'm feeling today, Pisces. I have to clean up what I'm imbibing with, making sure that the substances I'm, putting into the body is for me. That's, if the body is the earth, how am I using the chemicals around me? Which again, plant medicine will point to, I only clean with essential oils. I only clean with vinegar or hydrogen peroxide or certain things that I know that will not harm this vessel, right? This is my vessel. This is my spaceship that I'm traversing these planes of existence, these dimensional spaces within. So I want to make sure that I'm really treating myself properly and lovingly, which again is going to point to that Virgo anchoring in, grounding in the frequency, saying, okay, I'm pulling all this energy from the etheric Akashic realms of knowingness, but how do I anchor it in the body? And I think this has also been the misnomer or the disinformation that some religions have taught, said, oh no, don't worry so much about the body. You just worry about the afterlife. If you do good now and you work the way you're supposed to, and you do all those things, then the next life you're going to experiencing it. And what if you research some of Dan Winter's stuff, and Elasa talked about this too with the Pisces, is that actually the soul encasement embodiment is actually in the body. So it's not for us to leave the body, which would be escapism. Pisces is actually through the body, through the vessel, Virgo, is that we're going to really experience the next incarnation, the next moment by moment geometries and structures that we bring in as we're housing these systems in our body, because our body is the earth. And so that's very Virgo. And so I feel like even as we're exploring these new realms within Virgo, just bringing awareness is that the earth is you. And the more that you clean yourself up, Virgo, and the more you purify your thoughts, your body, your organisms, things, life is happening for you. We've got tons of microbiomes that are, I mean, if you study some of Dr. Zach Bush's work, he says that the most diverse ecosystem actually in the world, in the whole planet, is in the colon, in the human colon. So again, connecting that really Earth is happening for us. We are here to be a diverse ecosystem, learning to get along and to play together and to harmonize. But sometimes we need those conflicts, right, of what we don't want to bring us back into unity of what we do want. So I know that was a long story coming back to that, but that's sort of where I'm at in a nutshell in consciousness.
Beautiful journey, like truly beautiful journey.
Thank you.
And
it's
I can definitely relate to a lot of your journey. Scorpio incarnation through the sun, I mean, it's quite an interesting journey of reinventing yourself and transforming yourself over and over and over and over again. And you know what? I'm okay with it. Like, at one point in time, it was like, yeah, and now it's like, okay, cool.
Well, as a transformer, and actually Earth teaches me this, is like, are you okay with the change of seasons? Because some people, I know a lot of us just chase the sunlight, right? We just want to move to where it's warm all the time, where it doesn't change, right? Where I feel this temperature all the time. And that's fine too. That's the experience you want to have. But nature shows us that there's always changes and varied degree points and energies, and there's seasons upon seasons, cycles upon cycles. And if you can learn to embody that and be okay with that and actually embrace that, again, life is happening for you. There's a reason why we need cold temperatures at some point and we need hot temperatures at other points, right? Because it's all regulating the body system. Again, bringing it back to Virgo. This is how we navigate this reality, through learning contrast, even in varying degrees of temperature. That's why a lot of people you're seeing are doing cold plunges or doing the sauna and then the cold plunge, right? Because they're learning how to work with varying degrees of energy, which again is all housed in the body. So as you start exploring your body more and more and more, then you're going to be able to enter different dimensions of Earth. And this is why I think the collective is now starting to see, we're talking about Middle Earth and beyond the ice walls. And we're starting to explore the extraterrestrial, which is all it means is extra Earth, right? So the extra parts of us, which is really in the body, as we're starting to deeply explore ourselves and go inward and really learn what this mechanism, this vehicle does, then that's where we're going to see more explorative spaces in extra Earth, meaning it's just the extra parts of your body. And maybe the things we've been told about what our body has done or how it operates, that was very Pisces, that there was a dissolution or an illusion happening there. And again, because it was a control structure, but I don't see it as negative. I see it as a form, as a way that as humanity has set up learning to control chaos in its perceived energy at that time and space. So when we're in the Kali Yuga phase of consciousness, that means it's a rotational spin. We're the furthest away from the sun, meaning we have the less light when we're in the Kali Yuga. So we're not going to get the information clearly. So we may have darkened awareness only because of where we are in relation to light. See, it doesn't have to be anything like, oh, they did this to us. And they're the repressors. And I mean, believe me, I've journeyed with that line of consciousness too. And I was very much the warrior of like, they did this and they lied about this and they. But again, the journey has been for me to anchor in consciousness of oneness. So they is me. So I'm like, well, why did they do that? Oh, wait, why did I do that? Wait, what's going on here? And again, just through the deep exploration, exploring my own gnosis, taking time to explore that, being out in nature, I'm telling you, you sit with an oak tree and you'll have the best learned experience of millennia that you can ever have, because that oak tree has seen it all and will tell you, if you just settle the mind and quiet the mind. And we're given 2 ears for a reason, right? To really listen to what nature speaks, to listen and to see from a different perspective. Now, if you're experiencing something, again, how's that for you? That bill comes in the mail unexpected. How is that for you? That somebody leaves your life unexpectedly. There's a death in the family unexpectedly. How is that for you? How is that benefiting you? Even if it's painful, even if the mind doesn't understand it, immediately wants to judge it. And that's old paradigm program coming from the Pisces of just misunderstanding who we really are and what this energy is. And so that's also bringing it forward now to the Virgo consciousness. Well, look, if you can treat your body well, if you can love yourself unconditionally, even if you don't like yourself, that's going to connect you to a part of divinity within yourself, that extraterrestrial aspect of us that's going to take you to realms within yourself we have never seen as a consciousness. And I feel like that's what people are starting to see, is they're starting to see ETs or different light stuff. And, these are all things that are happening within you, that the body now, the DNA is being turned on in a different way. And we're starting to see ourselves. And then this operating machine is actually the body's starting to move and harness different energy. We're now more radiant light. There's more solar flares coming in to activate these aspects within us. So yeah, this is a very potent time to be alive. We chose it. It's here for us. If we could just stay in our hearts, get out of the dissolution of what's happening in Pisces, the untruths. And this is where going in and really using that discernment. I call it the filtration system. It's kind of like we filter our water, right? Because it's dirty water, or it's got things in it that we want to purify out, very Virgo. So I would even say that in your consciousness, before you watch any television or listen to any programming or music or imbibe with anything, put it through that filtration system first within yourself, set that intention, and then allow yourself to imbibe with that energy in that purified state and see if it's still truth for you.
I love that. Something's coming up for me to share, that kind of, I want to make a slight point, because I feel like you've really showed a nice visual for us going from Pisces to Virgo. And I'd like to go a little bit deeper into Virgo, but before I do, I want to kind of give the superlative of what I've essentially wrote out for for both Pisces and Virgo for the series. At this point, I would normally go through the entire cycle, but I don't. I want to keep this podcast where if you want to see that, we have other podcasts for that, where you can navigate what the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series is. Now we're going a little bit deeper. So Pisces is I sense, I understand, and I feel compassion, you
Hmm.
know? And you've really like harnessed that energy. We've seen even the opposite of that because essentially when we talk about a specific energy connected to like, let's say Pisces, for instance, we're looking at the duality of it, like you've
Mhm.
shown. Now, let's take that concept and let's take it all the way to the last step here, Virgo, which is I embody. I embody my fullest potential. And you
Mm.
said potency, and I think this is an invitation to explore how do we live our fullest potential and what does that look
Mm.
like through the lens of Virgo?
Well, even as you spoke of the word compassion through Pisces,
Yeah.
the word compass is in compassion. So
Mm.
the navigation point, our true North Star, is going to be through the heart, right? Which is the earth. So if you can just identify anytime you see the word heart, it's earth. It's right inside of you. Then the potentiality is only emerging through every now moment. Because what's going to happen is it's the way our operating system works. You know thyself. A lot of the way the brain is conceived or contrived or operates, it looks to see your environment always to keep you safe, right?
Mhm.
So when we talk about living in the past, if you're in, say, a new environment, then the mind automatically is going to show you things. Well, remember, don't do this because this happened and that wasn't safe, or that, that'll keep you anchored into the past. And what that does is in the infinite potential of now, you're going to continue to bring in the mind. And it's the mind, to be graceful with the mind, because the mind is here to protect you. It's an operating system, it's a receiver. It's showing you, hey, don't do that because remember when that happened the last time you got injured or this happened that was a negative experience. So this is the point where using Pisces and trust and compassion and the pure potential of creativity is like quieting the mind, which is wind spelled backwards, right? So when these new frequencies come in to tell the mind, hey, it's okay. I know that was the past that happened, but I'm in a new reality timeline. I'm in the now. And when you're in the now, you're at balance with the no, which is KNOW, right? Because it has the same now NOW, and then the K is the balance of the energy. And I would highly recommend spending time even with the letters, because the letters show you how energy travels, right? So and numbers do the same thing. So when you're in the now, you're in the no. And then you're in your fullest creative potential. That's when you're at 100% 0 point charged energy and you can manifest anything. Because in my belief, which is the be to live, in my belief, what I've seen to be true for me is that I'm living a real-time Akashic record. And anything that I need is already in front of me. I just have to magnetize it through thought and intention. So even if I'm perceiving that I'm lost, or I don't know how this is going to happen, or how I'm going to, if I just quiet myself, go ground in nature, take my shoes off, use my breath, then everything I need, it's like still water. You can't see yourself clearly if the water's disrupted. But if you go into that placid state and you can see clearly, then you can see exactly what's needed in the next step. And then through your magnetism, which is your heart, seeing is it already there, feeling, allowing yourself to feel that support, then, which is a magnetic principle, by the way, then it literally magnetizes you like a magnet. You will pull in that essence, that experience, that money, that mineral that your body made to be depleted. Anything can happen in that realm, which is in the plasma field, which is very Pisces. So you can pull it from Pisces in that plasma body and anchor it in to the earth, which is Virgo, and make it into material form. And this is what we're talking about, high magic. And this is also very scorpionic in the fact that we are the magicians, we are death in the tarot, but death is transformation. So we're transforming these beliefs, these patterns, but only if you're present, only if you're in the now. And it's through compassion for yourself, because through that compassion is where your inner compass is, and you'll always be your true north, which is your heart.
I love that. I love that. So I want to transition a little bit into so we have our class coming up, which is, I'll actually say the time or now. Let's see here. Thursday, April 11th. Wow, that's almost a month. A little less than a month now. It's so wild how fast this is going. That's a Thursday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's $35, and it's all about health and wellness and how to well, I originally put on here how to use your essential oils to their fullest potential, but I feel like we're going to be talking about way more than just that because it does have to do with our practice and us being healers and, all of these different things. If you want to take us into the realm of what will be, what we can expect in this class. And yeah.
Sure.
Sorry.
Thank you for asking that.
Mer.
Yeah, because it's evolving, right? Even from when we first anchored in this class to now, because I've evolved, you've evolved, right? So the
Yeah.
energy has shifted. So now that the content is going to be evolving. And what I can see, what I can bring to the table, just again, from my own embodied experience, is that, if think of like the earth, like a root system, like a tree, well, the roots are founded on our routines, which is very Virgo, which is represented by the sixth house. Virgos also denotes our work and service to other people, right? What we do for the other in service. And it's ruled, Virgo's an earth sign, but the ruler of Virgo is Mercury, which is the mind, right? So the mind is an air sign. The mind is ruled by air, the configuration of air, which is wind. So if the mind is changing and moving like the wind, how do you get anything done? It's through the anchoring process of Virgo, which is the earth. And what you routinely think about, you will bring about. So this has been the opportunity through working with the body, because Virgo also rules health, right? Health is our wealth. And so what do you do routinely to anchor in these new thought forms, these new thought patterns, these new ways of being through the body, through your daily practices? And so what I'm hearing now is we're really going to be talking about the routines of better care, of what that looks like, of tuning into your own gnosis, what's in for your body. Now, I am not a doctor by any means, but yet I'm a doctor to me. So when I need something, when I feel off balance, I immediately point to self to go, what do I need? What do you need, body? I actually gave my body a voice. And I talk to her like a friend. I talk to her like a child, like she's my best friend. And I ask her, if I feel tired, if I've got a headache, if I'm processing some, upset stomach, what is it? I'll sit and hold myself. What is this? What's going on? What do you need? And then trust whatever comes into your field. Like if you hear, I need more hydration, I need minerals, I need to not eat for a day, I need to fast, I need to rest, I need to go for a run, I need to go pet my dog, whatever it is, again, trust it. This is also coming from Pisces, learning to trust unconditionally yourself, because your body is always speaking to you. And if the body is the earth always has things to share with you. If you learn to listen and ground in and do it routinely, make that your everyday practice. I call that the non-negotiable. There are some things that are non-negotiable that I have to do every day to feel centered, grounded, connected, and ready to move. And that's my anchoring. That's my root system, because I am nomadic and I have been traveling. My roots are in the air. I think of like an air plant, right? So I still have a root system, but the roots are very robust and cultivated through my mineralization, through the practices of loving myself. And I know this is going to maybe trigger some people because it triggered me when I first started embodying these thoughts, but I've got to be selfish with my energy. I have to be selfish, which is shellfish, which is what creates the shell, the container to be healthy, so that there's nothing that can come at. Think of like my immune system. That's the card I pulled today. I honor my immune system, right? Because I've got these white blood cells in me that are like the warriors. They're like, I ain't gonna let nothing in here, right? Which is very Mars. And we've come to learn Chiron and Aries. So it's learning to be the protector, the warrior of my heart, of my body, and saying no, that parasitic energy, which means, parasites, they only feed off of you. If you're hosting all these energies and you're not getting anything back, that's a parasite, right? So being very diligent on, okay, I am not allowing these parasitic thoughts of fear come in, because it does nothing for you. To be in fear actually harnesses your energy and it doesn't give anything back. It's just depletion energy. So it's when you really truly decide to love yourself and your body, and anchor in those practices every day of what that feels like, and bring that more into the practice, then you can really be of service to the other, which is Virgo. You can really give wholeheartedly and from a full cup. I like to liken it to like every day when you're in your practice, you fill up your cup. It's a full cup, right? And when somebody's thirsty and around you, you can easily pour out of it. She'll go, I got plenty. Actually, it's overflowing. It just keeps going. But if you're depleted and somebody's thirsty and this cup is empty, there's nothing to give. So this class is really going to be pointed focus to learning how to better take care of the body unapologetically, to be selfish with your energy when need be. And then some tools and techniques that I've learned along the way since I've become nomadic. And so I've really started making health my focus, because I'm so nomadic and in living very present. I have to be, in order for my mental, spiritual, emotional, and mental realms and financial realms to be stable. Those are the 5 pillars that I work with: the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the financial realms. I need all of those to be in alignment and operating great. For me, that's the 5. To be healthy. And that's where I know that I have unconditional wealth, because my wealth is my health. And so we're going to anchor that into the class by just bringing awareness and some practices and some techniques that I've learned along the way. And I'm going to be sharing that in the class.
Definitely should have named the class 5 Pillars of Wellness.
You can always rename it.
I can, if that's open, I will definitely shift that, because I was like health and wellness, but
But what does that
but
look like, right? So we can just kind of bring that in.
yeah, I love that. So I feel like this is an invitation for us, if we're listening here right now, just to tune in to what are your non-negotiables? What is something you need in your day every single day? Every single day. And I'll share mine. Mine, I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I wash my hands, and I say a specific prayer, because when we before I even wake up, I say a specific prayer of gratitude. Thank you for this day. And then when I get to washing my hands, there's like a principle in Judaism, that in Kabbalistic thought, that the soul enters back through the hands. And we think about the Reiki, it's so interesting. And so it's like, I'm now cleansing that area, and then I go directly to my prayer, and I'll stay in that prayer. I don't let anything distract me. I'm just in that zone. Some days are shorter, sometimes they're longer, it's whatever I need for that day. And, but that's my non-negotiable. And honestly, Ella, you have been a huge, huge, like, I don't know the word, uh, inspiration in my life, to be able to say, like, what do I need? Because I got into this point of where I was like, okay, I could do yoga, but I'm like, what's important to me? Like, I can do these other things, but if I don't know where I stand, what gives me joy, and how I can keep building myself up, and we all have our own. That's the thing.
Yes.
And,
Yes. Well, and I feel that I've known that because again, I've been on this health journey for a while and just the journey of life in general. And I
Yeah.
do not resonate with there's just one way to do something because I feel like that's very dogmatic and coming from that old religiosity of, you have to do this in order for this. And I feel like we're explorers. And so whatever that means for you is going to be very unique to you. And I wanted to share with you, Katriel, it's interesting
Yeah.
because I too also wash my hands upon first rising, which I never understood. I didn't even know that principle in Judaism. But I also make sure before I go to bed that I wash my feet because I know the soul exits through the feet as I'm traversing the astral plane and doing out of body experiences and going into the dream state. So I make sure my feet are washed
Oh,
upon going to bed, Pisces, and then my hands are washed upon rising, which again, we know Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is two, the mind. Anything that's Mercury also rules Gemini, which is anything two on the body. So I find it interesting. That's also sort of an axis point, right? That washing your feet before bed, which is Piscean, will
yeah.
help you for the soul to come back in a clean way and to harmonize with the hands, Mercury, which is Virgo in the body. So there's another sort of correlation there that just came in. So there is no wrong way to be well for you as long as you're tuning into your own body. And I do honor doctors and I do honor Western medicine and Eastern medicine. And I feel like there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge. I especially gravitate towards Ayurvedic practices because I feel like they follow the elements of nature, which to me, that's what astrology does, right? They work with the doshas, which are talking about if you've got more fire, then you need to balance it out with more earth and water. It's the same thing with astrology, right? You have a very fiery chart. You want to make sure to ground in and bring more earthly practices. So this is what we're going to talk about too in the class is being able to look at your own birth chart and see where perhaps you may house certain elements, more dominant elements, and to bring that imbalance, you need to go to the opposing forces to bring balance to that. And again, it's going to be unique to everyone. So there is no right or wrong way to do it. It's what's right for you. And if you resonate with a teacher or wellness practitioner that you like what they're doing, then please, by all means, imbibe with their practices and their energy. But I would say, coming out of Pisces, don't say there's only one way to do it. And this is the only way. And you have to, do
Yeah.
this 7 times and use this language for that. I got too much. I don't fall for that anymore because it hasn't been true for me. It's like I'll take a little bit, but then I'll modify it and do it in my unique way, and vice versa. So it's just that's also the exploration that there's no wrong way to do it as long as it's right for you.
Thank you for that. And do have a question. As they sign up, these beautiful beings sign up, do they need to bring anything? Do they need to know, like, their birth chart? Do they need to have that with them? Do they need what do they need?
Well, I mean, since we're navigating the Zodiac empowerment, which really points to the mythology and the language of the Zodiac of astrology, I primarily study Western astrology. So there's different facets to astrology.
Yeah.
I feel like just knowing the birth chart in general, or even having access to your own birth chart, is a starting point. It's part of the inner compass. It's like it's your north, right? It's like if you want to know where you're going, you need to have a map. And so to me, having the birth chart is a map. And then knowing some of the symbology is, if we're, just know where Virgo is in your chart, maybe know where Pisces is in your chart, know where your work and services, where your health practices might be pointing to. These are just some of the components that I would be, that I would bring if I was taking
Okay.
this class. But also just bring presence, bring an openness to unlearn and maybe relearn some things, and just be willing to try something different, to just be open to a new form of exploration within the body, within yourself. That would be my only request, is just bring presence and your ability to be open to maybe new thought forms, new patterns, new ideas.
And are you currently doing birth charts?
Yes. So I call myself a radical oneness practitioner first before I call myself an astrologer. Astrology is the tool that I use to anchor in the radical oneness, because to me it has been such a sense of empowerment. It's a very empowering practice to know all is self, that we are the one. Again, very Pisces. And then but going into Aquarius, being able to share it with other people, other groups, organizations, our neighbors, our friends, because they're all self too, right? They're all aspects of you. And as you learn to relate to the other in a more harmonious, understanding, non-judgmental way, you're really learning to relate to yourself in that way. And through the tool of astrology, which has its own language, speaking astrology helps me stay neutral and in non-judgment. And that's what I practice and I teach and I share with others. And I'll actually be teaching. I've just been asked to help facilitate at our Three Miracles Center in Palm Harbor. She has a soul practitioner class. She's got different classes that she's going to be offering, and she's asked me to come and anchor in some of this, what I'm teaching there. I'm also online, and it's just my joy bliss to be able to speak astrology. And honestly, I want to be able to teach and help people understand the language, because I just want more people to talk to about this. It's like speaking a language that maybe most people don't know how to speak it. It can be very lonely. So I'm just helping to teach people the language of astrology so they could speak it and then speak it to themselves, and then see the symbols and the glyphs in a whole new way. Because even just sitting with the symbol, like we're coming up into Aries season right now, which is right here, right? This is Aries. Even sitting with the symbol of Aries, just sitting in your meditation and watching how the energy flows, right? Think of the symbol itself as showing how the currents of energy move. So how does the energy move through Aries? Well, it comes up and out, right? It's also the head of the ram, and it's the crown and the body. It's the heart of the child. It's the first zodiacal point in Western astrology. So there's a lot of symbology once you learn that again can give you just a whole new periphery of how to see yourself. And I also I bring in evolutionary astrology, shamanic astrology, galactic astrology, because I love working with fixed stars, fixed star points, which are suns, which each person has a sun per sun. And so that also is corresponded to the body. So just bringing it all back to self. That's part of my practice and what I teach and what I embody and what I help others navigate through their own charts. So, yes.
Wow, that's beautiful. And how can they find you?
I'm at Livzenastrology Facebook. I do not have a website as of yet, because I'm navigating different platforms, but you can find me on all the major platforms: TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I have been doing a cosmic daily dose, which is a live every day, almost every day, of energy currents as I'm seeing it, as I'm processing. So you can check out there. I also, a lot of my work is donation based, because I'm still learning to work with the energy and currents through donations. Although I do charge for birth charts now. I actually used to do it by donation base, and then I went into a nature meditation in North Carolina, and the earth showed me how that doesn't work, that we actually need to charge for our services. And this was a live I was going to do, and you're prompting me to do this now. And this is for anybody watching this who's a spiritual practitioner. It has nothing to do with worth or value. It has to do with literal physics. So I liken it to what the forest was showing me, because even before I entered the forest, I just felt this need to give to her. I was like, Mother, what can I do for you? This is my offering. So I brought in sage, I brought in some crystals, I brought in some things that I wanted to offer. And what the forest was showing me is, okay, great. Now you created space, because if we're a vessel, we're a container, you have this much energy, you're full of energy. And in order for me to pour my knowledge and my wisdom to you, you have to get some of this energy, you have to pour it back out to make room for me. So I can charge your energy body with the knowledge that the wisdom has of the forest. So she was showing me that abundance really is when you have to allow yourself not only to give energetically, to charge the other with your knowledge, but you have to receive, and you have to make space for it. And so all money is a system of exchange of energy. So when you agree to say, okay, I'm going to pour this much knowledge into you, and this is where I've created numerology, right? A 144 amount of knowledge, then you need to pour that out to make space for that. And so that's why I was told, just energetically, you have to charge. If there's certain things that people want to know, then they have to create space for you to charge their energy, which to me is electric, right? So you have to charge them up with your current, with your knowledge base, and they have to make room for it by giving back to you. So it was just a very interesting, again, taking the judgment and that whole, am I worthy and all that out of it. It's just actually, it's basic mechanics. It's a physiological and physics mechanics of why we need to charge for our services. So I don't know why I
Very
felt like I
Aquarian
needed
of
to
you.
interject that. I think that was maybe for you too, but for anybody out there
It
that's
was.
watching this,
I've
that
been
it's
navigating those
it's
waters. Thank
yes,
you.
a lot of
Sorry.
us are. A lot of us in the spiritual practices who want to give, who have been in this field for a while, I know it's in our hearts to just give. But if you're giving and then to containers, it's the lids on it, then you're pouring into it, they're not receiving anything. They have to open the lid and let your gifts, your energy charge them. So it's
Right.
in actually giving to you financially, which is the unit of exchange we agreed on this planet. They're opening up the lid so that you can pour your energy into it. That's all it is. Has nothing to do with worth or value, any of that. That's, again, coming out of Pisces. That's the old, perhaps where we've deceived ourselves in this martyrdom. Like, I'm just going to be of service and I'm not going to receive anything. And then, well, that's how you get depleted. That's how that's where the whole suffering thing. And anyway, there's just so many points to it, but I just wanted to share that for anybody who's practicing, who is maybe having a hard time receiving financial currency in that way. It's actually necessary for you to receive, for your message and your energy to be shared. That's it's mechanics. It has nothing to do with value. Just wanted to share that.
Thank you. And I'm going to do a tiny brief before we close completely, show and tell for both of us.
Okay.
I'm going to have you go first. If you can bring out your gratitude journal and share that with us.
Oh, sure. This is my gratitude journal, gratitude every day. And on the back, what are you grateful for today? This was also, I'd love to say this was an offering to humanity, and it is. But for again, selfishly, I needed something that I created with my two hands to help me anchor in the practice of gratitude, because I know the power of gratitude. I know how profoundly deep it's a medicine, it's an alchemy. And so as a nomadic journeyer, sometimes I'd get very fearful, like, oh my gosh, where am I going to be staying next? Where's the next meal coming from? Where is this? How, and it's always coming back to, can you be grateful for what's presently in front of you right now? Do you have everything you need right now? Yes. Do you have a safe roof over your head? Are you nourished? Yes, yes. So it's a sacred practice of gratitude, that there's magic in it. Again, it's high magic in the energy of it. So I needed to create something for myself that would anchor in that sacred practice of gratitude, which is something also we can talk about in Virgo class, how the practice of gratitude every day in and of itself, if you just do one prayer every day, it's thank you. And that's enough. So I created that, and that could be found on Amazon, and maybe we can share the link if anybody's called to it.
Absolutely.
To practice that.
Yeah. Afterwards, please share that link with me, so that I can get it on there when I put it up. And then
Thank you.
also, oh, absolutely. I also have the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series journal that's deciding to hide sometimes. There we go.
There you
And
go.
this is a really good tool for as we're going to these different classes. Again, we have a whole nother, if you did not make the classes for this round, we'll be starting again the week of July 21st. So we have all the way to the end of the year to use this particular journal. As there are different prompts specifically for every single class, both online classes and in-person classes. And I put up my heart and soul into this, and I've been using it. And I honestly feel like I was a little selfish with it too. Because I really wanted a way to like remember all of this journey and also put down different things, and having a journal to be able to reflect on later. Uh, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a difference between um so like I don't know if you've ever heard of like Ed Milet or Brendan Bouchard. They talk about gratitude journals and just putting down your daily life in a journal, and when you look back at it, that's what sets you apart. For those who don't do that, we tend to like forget we're moving through life, and it's just but when we can reflect, we look at those ideas, we go back. It's kind of like when like in sales, they say the callbacks are the ones that actually push you forward. Our journal is that for us. And so when we can re-examine things, we actually can go further in life and be a better receiver and a better giver in society. So that's again, you can find that on Amazon, and I'll have the link on there as well. And you can find anything related to the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series on energyspeaksbykatriel.com. You can also find all the information of all of our practitioners, including Ella Yve, and all of her information on there. So if you just happen to not remember, well, now you can remember. Energy speaks by Katriel.com. And
Also, I
all
just
of
have
our
to say,
events.
I've seen the journal, and I will say I intend on getting it. Again, I had to recalibrate and do other things with my finances, but
Mm,
just understanding from that part, even as you were speaking, Katriel, the journey is anchored in by the journal. And the part of the journey is, again, it's another compass point, right? It's another part, like a map of where we traversed, because everything happens in cycles. So you can go back and see where you were in that cycle. And this is where we created numerology, right? It's also part of that, because even if you write a date on there, you're using numbers, you're using the sound frequency. Like this is a longitude, latitude point of this energy that happened on this day or this frequency. Because again, time is an anchoring, time is how we move, time is how we know ourselves. And so I really love the questions that you pose in the journal. They're very powerful. They're really deeply contemplated. If anybody's ever studied the gene keys, Richard Rudd right now, he wrote this book on contemplation and the power of contemplation. And with the journal that you created for this particular series, what it allows us to do is to really deeply go deeper into the contemplative practice after having just received all this amazing information from the practitioners that are sharing their hearts, they're sharing their journey, and it helps you anchor in and navigate your journey through the journal. And I just wanted to say that I'm really grateful for you, because I can feel and see that you've put so much time and energy and effort and love into this series, into all your creations, even the merchandise. He's got Mars and Gemini, which merch, it's action, right? He's getting activated through what he creates in the material realm. So I would recommend to anybody that's participating in the series, check out a lot of the merchandise, because that's also what we wear is also where it's a location, right? WERWHERE. It's where we are based on what we're
mm.
wearing. And that's a whole nother thing connected to Virgo, which is about the body. So
Ooh,
yes.
that's kind of cool. Look at that. Whoa.
Like a portal.
That was awesome. I want to say thank you, Ella, for coming on here and bringing your heart and soul to everything you do. Truly.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you
very
for
honored to
seeing
have you as a
me.
practitioner. Meh.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm excited to be traversing these realms of consciousness with you again in this lifetime.
Mer.
And thank you, everybody,
And
for watching in the now moment that's connecting to this channel and connecting to our energies. I'm really excited to share time and space with you all and just share the journey of where I've been. And hopefully that will add some value and some grace to your journey. And there is no right or wrong in this realm. I really, truly, beyond belief, know that we've called this experience in, that we're here for one another. We're not meant to do this alone, especially as we're stepping more into the age of Aquarius. This is about groups, organization, partnerships, sharing self with the other, in reflection with the other, and learning more about self. It's a beautiful journey, and I'm excited to be a part of it with all of you all that are vibrationally matched to this class. So yeah, let's play, let's learn some stuff, let's share some knowledge, and onward.
Mer. And I want to say thank you all, Divine Beautiful Souls, for listening. And one last thing, because, I have to remember these things. If you're in the Tampa Bay area, April 14th, it's a Sunday from 1:11 p.m. until 10:10 p.m. We will be doing a celebration event that will be celebrating everyone who's gone through this already, and also preparation for the next part of the journey, going from summer to fall. And so we also will have a online portion for the panel where we're going to interface both the in-person and the online, which is going to be super epic, and you can meet all of the practitioners, we hope, and that it all, divinely, it all be divinely worked out. And so I want to say thank you all, Divine Beautiful Souls. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with someone and bless their day. That is all for now. I love you all, Divine Beautiful Souls.